What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode. Today we are going to be installing the stereo into my brother's 1964 Chevelle. So we've got a couple different things. We've got some speakers, 6x9s that we're going to put in the deck. We've got a couple 6-inch round ones that we've already mounted underneath the dash. And then he's got this modern style looking stereo here that we're going to go ahead and put in. This thing's going to have USB capabilities, auxiliary. I believe it has Bluetooth as well. It's called Retrosound, and it's made by Zuma. Here's the manufacturer there. So we've already got this thing out. We went ahead and assembled the brackets onto it, put those on just a little bit ago, and I've already taken the dashboard out. The dashboard was already partially disassembled. We had it off. We were replacing the turn signal switch, a couple other things in here. So I just went ahead and completely removed that. And while I was in there, I went ahead and replaced a couple of these light bulbs, or all of these light bulbs, with LED. And while the dashboard was out, we went ahead and put a brand new cigarette outlet lighter in there. The one that was in there was actually missing. But on the back side, if you guys are removing these yourselves, it might be a little difficult to see here, but you can see that it actually shows what color wires to the light bulbs go. So this one's a gray, a green, or a dark blue and pink, dark green and pink. So I just went ahead and transferred that over here just for a little bit easier reference when I go ahead and reinstall this back in there. But we're going to go ahead and mount up the stereo into that location there and go ahead and wire up all the speakers. So to install this radio, like I said, we've already put the brackets on here, and from what I'm looking at, I think this is the way we're going to do it. You've got your little control knobs that actually plug into the side here. We're going to install these into place and use the washers and bolts to go through these mounting tabs here and actually hold the radio in place. So we're going to get started on that. So I'll just set that radio in there. Grab a couple washers here. Back a little bit. Put another washer in on the other side. And one more nut. It's actually a little bit difficult to get that nut started in there on the other side, but I think we've got it. You're going to start out with these knobs. You're going to put one nut on, spin it down, put a washer on it, and then set this to your desired depth. There's really no right position, I don't believe. Just enough that the knob sticks out and everything like that. It's not going to be in the way. So that looks pretty good to me right there as well. Maybe back him off just a little bit. And then we're going to put another washer and a nut on the front side. Alright, so with both of those installed, that radio is really tight in there. Like I said, we are just using these to hold the radio in on the back side there. As you can see, they're just sticking right through there. So I'm going to go ahead and put the knobs on this now. I'll try and get that in a spot where you guys can see. So there's two pieces to the knobs. And it looks like they just slide right on. So this is going to be our first piece. It's just going to slide right over top of there. I'm not sure exactly how the radio works yet, but you can see that actually turns a couple things in there. So we'll put one in on this side as well. And that will also turn. And then we will, these just push right on. All of them do. Just gotta line your tabs up. There we go. Alright, so that is installed in there now. Pretty simple. Just everything pretty much fitted right up. So there's a couple connectors on the sides. Your analogs, or your little knobs, whatever you want to call them, are just going to plug into each side there. I'm going to leave them wire tied up because they're just going right there. You know, we're not mounting them further apart. It's kind of universal. So this is a line out, line out. We're going to plug our radio, or our antenna into this port here. And then here we've got two different aux ports. We'll probably just leave those dangle back, and then we're going to probably try and find a spot to mount up this USB port. But there are also a couple other connectors that this comes with. We've got two separate connectors, actually three. So your three connectors here, one of which is going to go to your speakers. So this actually shows, you know, we've got right front, left front. This is all of our speakers right here. We're going to tie into those. And then this is all of our power supplies. This is going to be, you know, your battery voltage, your accessory, your ground, a remote wire to turn on the amp, all that stuff. It's all labeled on here. Let's see. It's all labeled on here. So that'll be pretty easy to wire up. And then this is your main connector that's actually going to plug into the back of the radio, right back here. And after we wire up everything here, these are just going to plug directly into that. So we are going to go ahead and install the dash back in there now and start running wires to whatever we need to run wires to. So one thing we're actually going to do before we go ahead and install the dash again with the stereo and everything is I've got a speaker that is mounted right here. It's got a little L bracket on it, and the speaker is screwed into it, and it's bolted up to the parking brake assembly. Decided to go ahead and mount the speakers underneath the dash because there's no really good way of mounting them into the doors without drilling holes in the doors, drilling holes back in through here, trying to come up with some type of rubber boot so that they didn't pinch or anything like that. So we're just going to go ahead, we've got them mounted underneath the dash here, and like I said, I'm going to run a wire across just over to where the speaker system's at, because it's a little bit easier to do right now with everything out in the open, and then we'll reinstall the dash. Okay guys, so now that all of that is hooked up, we are actually going to go ahead and run our power, ground, and everything else to the radio. So on these older cars, the fuse box actually has some like spade terminals in there that are already fused. They'll say battery, accessory, all those things. They're right over here on the left hand side. So I've got a couple wires that we're just going to go ahead and run. I'll go ahead and put terminals on these, throw them into the fuse box, and then tie them into our connector right here that's going to plug into the back of the radio. So I just need to see here, yellow is going to be constant 12, and red is going to be ignition accessory 12 volt. So we'll go ahead and get these hooked up real quick. Alright, so that speaker is wired up to this area. We are going to go ahead and move on to the back speakers, and I'll show you guys us installing those. Okay, so back here we've got a little bit of an issue. The 6x9s we've got do not fit in this little dropout section that's been placed in here. And the reason for that is the guy that owned this before us, or before my brother, he actually, it looks like he took some tin snips and tried to cut some of this stuff out to open it up, put some speakers in here. He doesn't have the panel that's up here, and the back seat's currently out. I'm going to go ahead and clean that up and install that when we're done. But until he gets a panel, we're just going to go ahead and open this thing up. I'm going to take the bracket that the speaker came with, kind of trace out where my speaker's going to go, and then I'm going to open it up with a whiz wheel. Alright guys, so we've got our speakers mounted. And now we are going to take our wires and run them down all the way up to right underneath the dash there where the rest of our connectors are, and we'll go ahead and wire this. Okay guys, so we're back underneath the dash now. We're going to go ahead and wire up. These are our speaker wires from the rear. This is our speaker wire from the left front and the speaker wire from the right front. So we're going to go ahead and wire all of this up to our connector, and then we're going to go ahead and test this radio out. Alright guys, so here we have it. The radio is in. We've got the dash completely reinstalled. And I'm going to show you guys. I'll turn the key to the on position. Sorry. To the on position. And we get Retrosound that comes across there. Now you can switch from radio to auxiliary, to your USBs, all that stuff. You can seek, it actually tells you the name of the song. You've got your different presets, everything along those lines. You can seek, like I said, figure out what station you want. But that radio is complete. I'm not going to show you guys any music just for copyright reasons and everything like that. But we've got all of our speakers wired up. As you can see, there's just two little aux hookups down there. I don't know where he wants to put those yet. And in the meantime, we've got his USB cord actually zip tied right in here, so he can pull this out and plug in his phone to go ahead and use that through the radio as well. That's just temporary. Like I said, I don't know where he wants to put all this stuff, but that radio's in. It's all completed there, and you can see our LED lights inside the dash there. Makes everything nice and visible. Alright guys, so that's going to do it for this episode of Rona Garage. We hope to see you guys back. Like I said, the next thing that we're going to be doing to this Chevelle is actually complete disc brake swap, everything along those lines. Trying to lock something in to possibly do that on a lift, not here in the garage, just because it's going to be a little bit time consuming. So hope to see you guys back for that. If you like what you see, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It helps us out. Thank you guys.